Hey everyone, I am your astrologer Brittany of Ethereal Astrology with horoscopes inspired by the moon. Let me be your guide. Today you're watching your astrology horoscope for the full moon in Leo, which occurs on Sunday, February 5th, 2023 at 1:27 p.m. Eastern Time or 10:27 a.m. Pacific Time. Now, what I think is going on at this full moon in Leo is that we are starting to more effective solutions here to fixing anything in our life, especially from the past 2 years, that isn't where it needs to be, so that we can more fully move on into a new and better chapter of life. However, some kind of unexpected things coming up, throwing a wrench in our plans and making us feel a little upset, maybe cause arguments first, that it is that we're going to need to deal with in order to move forward. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. If you want to hear more about that, please do stay tuned because we're going to hop into it right now. In order to get started, what I like to do first is just place on the chart what it is that I'm going to be referring to here so that you can see it and follow along with me. So let me do that now. This video is for the full moon in Leo on Sunday, February 5th, 2023. As a result, I have adjusted this chart accordingly. I know that because I've got the sun here in Aquarius, making an exact opposition over here to the moon in Leo. And when the sun and the moon oppose each other, that is what is considered a full moon here. And of course, I've got the time adjusted up here in the top as well. Hey, what are full moons all about? Well, full moons are all about stepping into things we've been working towards for quite some time, or completing them, especially because that is when the moon is the furthest away here from the sun. Not only are full moons about that, but they're also as well about getting some kind of insight or illumination or clarity, perhaps that we did not see before, because that too is when the moon is the brightest in the sky. And with it being a function of an opposition, can also be a time of important decisions here that might need to be made as well. That's going on. Okay, so what are we stepping into at this full moon in Leo, or getting insights or clarity on, and possibly even needing to make some kind of decisions about? Well, in order to explain that, I want to take a look at really both sides of the full moon this time around. And I'm going to start with the sun here in Aquarius. The sun has a lot to do with the core of our identity, at least at this time, and it's in Aquarius. Aquarius has a lot to do with our vision of the future here and what that is we hope to create. It also has a lot to do with solutions, I think, solutions to fix or improve things that are standing in our way in the big picture, getting a better idea of that. And it's connecting here to the moon about our emotions, and Leo, which has to do with the core of our being, our heart, our soul, our identity. It also has to do with things that we love, that we're passionate about, that make us happy here, being a fire sign. And it also has to do as well with the courage and the boldness in order to lead and take action, in order to carry a lot of this stuff out here as we move forward. Being a fire sign there. So what does that mean to me? Well, to bring it together so far, what that means to me is that what is going on at this full moon in Leo, which is what this video is for, is that we're, I think, getting more clarity here on what we want to create in the future after this. That's more in alignment with our heart, our soul, more authentic here to us, and how to solve anything that may be standing in the way of that's going on. And we're also getting more of the courage, I think, and the boldness in order to solve the stuff in the way of our future, of our authentic self here, so that we can move on, and we might be making some important decisions here about that as well as we move forward. Okay. And that's all that I want to say for now here. I need to note about the big picture and the big theme of this full moon in Leo here that's coming up. But before I move forward to give you just a few more details here about this full moon and about what's going on, I'm just going to go backwards in time here for a minute in order to give you more of the context of how we got here and of why this is now coming up to be felt, lived through, and experienced. Okay, and to do that, I'm just going to jump around to a few different places here within the course of the past few years into some important alignments. And of course, I'm going to go ahead and start back at a very significant alignment that happened the beginning, January to about April of 2020, about where you see Mercury right now, by the way. And that was when Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter made a conjunction here in the sign of Capricorn. Now, this is a little bit of a challenging alignment here because Saturn and Pluto are very difficult, and Jupiter, I don't think, is really helping that too much. in this instance. Not only was this a very difficult alignment, but I also need to note that it was a very rare one as well, because Saturn and Pluto only come conjunct about every 30, 35 years, especially not with Jupiter there as well. So this is a very rare, unique, and difficult alignment. What was the difficult thing going on? Well, in between January to April of 2020, I believe that we realized there was something in the structure of our lives, Saturn and Capricorn, that needed to change. Pluto in a very drastic and big way, Jupiter, because we weren't happy with it and hadn't been for many decades prior to that, so that we could create something else that was better for us. Okay, I think that's what happened there. And I think from January to April of 2020, really until April of 2022, at a new moon solar eclipse in Taurus, right about here, we started to do that, started to make these really hard changes, right? It's hard to change, it's hard to overcome old stuff in our lives and to get rid of old stuff we didn't like and set ourselves up for a different and better experience. And by the time we got to April of 2022, with the North Node in Taurus, I think we started to get some sort of little foundation here, little stronghold, maybe that's the better word, little stronghold here in a new and different, better experience, because we had a solar eclipse in Taurus, which is a lot about fertility and abundance and is an earth sign about feeling a little bit more grounded. Okay, and that was a very, very good thing in April of 2022. But even though that was a very good thing, at the lunar eclipse that accompanied this 2 weeks later, I think it was around May, maybe I'll say May, I'll just put it here, May of 2022, at a full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio, we then ran into challenges with this little stronghold that we had started to gain in a little bit of a different and better experience of life here. Because that lunar eclipse was on the South Node, that was difficult. And we started to feel stuck here and unable to move forward. And I think what we realized around May of 2022 is that the reason why we were starting to get into a better experience of life, but we're feeling stuck and unable to move forward, is because this new and better experience of life here that we're moving into requires a totally different approach, a totally different mindset, a totally different skill set than the ones we previously had and were using. Because building something new requires a totally different mindset than tearing down something old and getting rid of stuff that you don't like. Not only did we realize that, but I think we also started to realize that the new skill set here and perspective and mindset that's needed in order to build something new is more Taurus qualities. We need to go slower. We need to be more sensible. We need to be more stable, more secure. We need to think more long-term about things. We need to calm our emotions here so that we're not making decisions based on trauma. And we need to be more self-reliant, more confident in ourselves, less dependent on other people, especially other people who are not good for us, and less intertwined with them. And we need to save more money here instead of spending it, or start making money here in different and better ways as well. And I think that was a good realization here that was meant to help us. But even though it was a good realization, I do believe that it was very hard for us to fully understand or wrap our head around and embody in a lot of ways, because it was so foreign, I think, to the way that we used to be doing life. That was going on. And because it was really hard for us to wrap our mind around, when Mercury went retrograde in December of last year, right, 2022, here in Capricorn, while Mars was also retrograde at that time in Gemini, I think we realized we needed to get our perspective straight. We needed to more fully get our perspective straight to fully understand what was going on in May of 2022 and what that insight was, and get in this different way of life that is slower, more stable, more secure, more confident, more self-reliant, more thrifty, and more in tune with our needs and values here, so that we could fix things in our life, or get things going, we can start to get things going in a much better direction here as we move forward. And I think that we did that December, which lasted into also January, right? To fix our mindset, to get on board with the different skills that are now needed. And because we have fixed our mindset here to slow, stable, secure values, needs, and what those are now, this full moon in Leo, of which this video is for, we're finally getting clarity, I think, and we're finally getting answers here about what we hope to create in our life that's new, different, and better that we've been trying to do since 2020, what exactly that is, and what is standing in the way of that, that's not stable, not secure, not in alignment with our needs and values, not based on calm emotions here, so that we can adjust that accordingly. And we're getting more of the courage and the bravery up in order to actually do that more effectively and efficiently here as we move forward. Okay. And that's it. Because that's it, I'm now just going to repeat that one last time here without the astrological jargon very quickly so that you can get hopefully a better idea of what is happening. So let me do that now. What I think is going on here, big picture, at this full moon in Leo on Sunday, February 5th, 2023, is that we're finally getting clarity here on what is no longer meant to move forward with us in our future into a new and better chapter of life, mindsets, experiences, people, places, things here, and on how to more fully fix and resolve that here and solve that with more courage and boldness so that we can put our life in a much better direction that we've been trying to get to for a while after learning a lot over the course of the past year in order to get here. Okay, and that's it. Because that's it, I'm now going to give you more of the specifics here about this full moon in Leo and how exactly it's going to play out there. And to do that, I'm going to talk about some of the specific aspects here that the full moon itself is making, and that is happening around the full moon. So I'm going to do that now. The first thing that I want to do now is just place, again, the full moon on the chart so that you can see what we're referring to. So let's do that. And maybe I'll start back at this full moon really quickly here before I talk about a few other things. What do I want to talk about here? The full moon in Leo, right? Let's talk about that. That full moon in Leo is about us now starting to get clarity about our future, what we hope to create that's new, different, and better that we've been trying to get to since 2020 here, and what's in our way and how to solve that with more courage and bravery. That is a good thing. Okay, and that is happening. But even though that's a good thing and that is happening, I do need to note that this full moon is very challenged and is making one very significant challenging alignment here, which is going to be a square to Uranus from both the moon, of course, and the sun here as well. That can be a bit difficult because a square is difficult here, and also too because Uranus is in Taurus, a sign it doesn't like to be in, and I should note the sun also doesn't really care to be in Aquarius either. So there are some difficult things that are going on here, challenging this clarity and this solution and these insights that it is that we are getting. What is the challenge that's going on here? Well, Uranus is about the sudden and the unexpected here that is coming up. And this could be a sudden, unexpected external event that challenges us or surprises us that we weren't planning for in some way that someone does to us. It can be a sudden, unexpected event that we realize that we do to something or someone else here. Or it can be a sudden, unexpected, insight. It can be a variety of things. Okay, but either way, there is some sort of sudden and unexpected here event, I think, or insight, right? No matter what way that is coming up, that's challenging this clarity we think we've found, or this solution that we think we're getting to about our life and what we want to create and what needs to be fixed here, and what we've learned over the course of the past few months and years about a slow, stable, secure approach, especially with it being in Taurus, about this new approach to life that it is that we've been trying to get here. Okay, and not only can there be some kind of unexpected event or insight that's very challenging and startling, this clarity and solutions we thought we were getting here, but it can also be making us doubt. Sometimes when I see Taurus negatively, to me, when Taurus is negatively aspected, it can bring doubt or a lack of confidence. It can make us doubt ourselves, our abilities, our self-worth, what we've been doing, what we've been trying to get to this whole time, and make us feel like maybe we're not as far along as we thought, or that things aren't coming together. That, unfortunately, I should note, I think has a potential to be even more challenging. And that's because of another alignment that's going on around the same time of this full moon in in Leo square Uranus. And that's going to be Venus here in Pisces making a square to Mars in Gemini exact. See, as you can see it at the time of this full moon here. Now this is a bit difficult as well, because this is a square and because Mars is involved, which can be a little bit aggressive. So this can also be a challenge. In what way is this a challenge here? Well, Venus is a lot about our sense of self-worth. It's also about our relationships and our money. And it's in Pisces. And Pisces is a lot about the past and overcoming the past, or in this case, by hard aspect, maybe feeling stuck in the past here. In a lot of ways, that can be hard. And Mars, which is ahead of Venus in the zodiac, right, can be a little impatient, since Mars can be an aggressive planet of action, can be a little impatient here, can be very frustrated internally that things are stuck in the past and aren't moving forward. In a lot of ways, that can be quite hard and bring a lot of unhelpful thoughts with it being in Gemini, a Mercury ruled sign, or overthinking, and can also bring unhelpful conversations with Mars being in Gemini, a Mercury ruled sign, that can lead to disagreements or arguments or just some kind of frustration that is going on here as well. That can be difficult. Okay. So do you see what's happening here, right? To recap, before I add some other things on, at this full moon in Leo, we're starting to get some kind of clarity about a new, different, and better chapter of life that we've been trying to get to really since 2020, and what's in our way and how to fix anything in our way, which is that we need to adopt a slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, thrifty, independent approach to life here, and which is very good. And we're getting more courage to carry it out. But even though we think we've got the solution and we think we've got the clarity and we think we've got the answer now about what to do next and how to fix our lives, some sudden unexpected event is coming up that's challenging that clarity that we thought we had, or the solution that we thought we're coming to, or these things that we thought we were working out here within ourselves and our environment, causing us to doubt what we're doing, doubt that we're ever going to fix anything in our lives, to feel unstable, insecure, maybe even then have a lot of inner tension, feel stuck in the past, overthink things in unhelpful ways, or get in disagreements and arguments with other people because we're impatient that things are going on. Not only that, I also needed to say another thing. It can also cause us to act out in unhelpful ways. Okay, because sometimes Mars, again, being hasty, it can cause us to act out in helpful ways based on anxiety and based on insecurity that also aren't true to ourself and who we are. That's a bit difficult here. Okay. Because that's hard here. And I think that's really all that I want to mention here. Yeah, I think that's really all that I want to mention for most of the aspects. I'm now going to give you some advice here about how to handle this and about what's going on. And I think the advice that I want to give you now is actually going to be back to both of those things here, Venus square Mars and that full moon in Leo. Of course, that's what this video is for, in order to bring things together. And I'm going to go back to the Venus square Mars first, right? Because that's what we were just talking about. Even though Venus square Mars can be hard because it is a square and because Mars can be a very aggressive planet, my personal opinion is that Venus does much better with Mars than almost any of the other planets. And I believe that Venus does much better with Mars as a pair than almost any of the other planets, because Venus is typically known as the feminine principle in astrology, and Mars is typically known as the masculine principle in astrology. And I think it's safe to say that the feminine and the masculine principles have an affinity for each other. Maybe there's some tension at first, right? Sexual chemistry is a function of tension, but it ends up working together. So even though there can be a lot of overthinking, tension, disagreements, arguments because of some unexpected issue here, I think there is something good that can come from it here if you just finesse it a little bit. Not only do I think that Venus square Mars can be helpful because it's Venus and Mars, the lovers here, making an aspect to each other, but Venus is also in Pisces, its sign of exaltation, where it really loves to be and functions very well here too. That can also help this out. Okay, so what is part of the advice here that's going on? Well, Venus is in Pisces, right? Pisces is a lot about compassion and forgiveness. That's why Venus likes to be there, because Venus is about relationships and money. And who doesn't like to be forgiven in relationships and with money and with issues? It's a lot about compassion and forgiveness. Not only is Pisces a lot about compassion and forgiveness, it's also a lot about patience. patience as well as we go throughout the process and figure things out. Not only that, but Pisces too, being the last sign of the zodiac and a water sign, I do believe is connected more to the divine or to intuition or to just higher wisdom and higher understanding. And so too, I think Aquarius can be that way as well. That's going on and is more open to understand the higher perspective and understand why things are happening. Not only that, but Pisces too can be very, very flexible. So what this means to me is that even though there is a lot of tension here, there is a way to work with it that I think can emerge after the tension. We're going to have to experience that first. And the good things that can come after the tension, especially if we choose to cultivate it, can be more kindness, more compassion, more patience here for the situation, for who we're dealing with, for this unexpected event, and a willingness to learn and understand why it's happening before rushing in, to say things or get upset here. That's going on. So that's what is happening. And I think it's both, I think, possible and advice. It's possible for this tension that you're feeling to all of a sudden disperse, right? Because people are going to become compassionate. Or if it doesn't, for you to choose to be kind and compassionate to yourself, other people, patient, understanding of whatever you're dealing with as it's happening, okay? Because that's going to help it. Not only that, but the other piece of advice I want to give you is going to be back to that full moon in Leo. The full moon is in Leo. Leo is a lot about tapping into your heart space here and your soul and getting more in touch with that. And it's also as well about leadership. And I think a lot of times leadership is about providing, especially with the sun currently in Aquarius, which is the ruler of the full moon, by the way, being in Leo, is a lot about vision. Leadership is a lot about having a coherent vision about what you want to create and it being so infectious and inspiring that it's contagious, that other people want to follow your lead and want to come along here. That's going on. So not only is the advice here for you to choose, I think, to be kind and compassionate and patient throughout this unexpected thing that's coming up here, that's going on, and to seek to understand and be open-minded and be flexible. But while you're doing that, to tap more into your heart space of like who you are, what's important to you, what you love, because that's contagious, right? And not only to do that, but to also tap into the vision, the ultimate vision of what you want to create, and to hold on to that here that's going on, and to tap into your deep inner sense of courage and strength as you move forward. Okay, because the kindness and the compassion, right, and the patience and the open-mindedness combined with like heart, and authenticity, right? And vision and courage is an unstoppable combination, is a combination that I think is going to calm a lot of these unexpected events down. Because when other people or things, right, see that you're trying to be kind and that you're connecting heart to heart and not putting on a facade and not pretending to be something else and not having all these walls up, and that you really mean well, and that you're trying to come up with a vision and you're trying to come up with a solution and you're trying to be strong and not devolve into, insecurity, then it's going to help to work things together. It's going to help to work things together in a much better way. And not only that, but bring even more insight, even more clarity, and even more solutions here about how to fix these unexpected events that are coming up and anything else standing in your way. Especially too, I need to note with Venus and Mars, right, having the affinity, and with Mercury, a day or 2 days after this full moon in Leo, leaving post-retrograde shadow and getting up to full speed. In the same spot, I need to note where Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter came conjunct in Capricorn in 2020. And when Mercury is up to speed, it moves very, very fast. It can move more than 1 degree a day. And that's a very good thing, because Mercury has to do with the way that we think, It has to do with the way we communicate, which is very good to figure solutions and insights. Not only that, but Mercury also has to do with our physical environment and adjusting a lot of those things, since it correlates to Virgo too. A lot of people forget that, and Virgo does have to do with daily routines, physical stuff that's going on. It also has to do with that. And when Mercury is moving up to speed, it means that happens better. It happens quicker. It happens more effectively and efficiently. So us practicing kindness, compassion, whatever unexpected situations are coming up, open-mindedness, flexibility, as we understand and connecting to our hearts and the hearts of other people here, and dropping into the heart space instead of putting up these walls here, that's going on. And tapping into our courage and our vision is going to help us. It is going to help us finally come up with an effective idea, thought, solution about what we want to create, what's in the way, and to fix it finally, once and for all, especially now that all the planets are direct for the next month or two here, in a more effective and efficient way that is actually going to work this time if you don't get discouraged. Okay. Why? Maybe one last thought here before I tie this up, my interpretation up here. Why is this happening? Why are we getting some kind of solution to whatever's been going on in our lives over the course of the past 2 years in particular, that's been stopping us from moving forward into a new and better chapter of life? And then all of a sudden some unexpected issue arises that challenges that solution. I think the word that came to me right before I was filming this video is the phrase. Sometimes phrases just come to me in my mind, especially more lately, I guess. Refiner's fire. That's the phrase that I got. Why is some unexpected event coming up right when we're on the brink of getting a solution here? I think that this unexpected event is happening to refine what we've been learning over the course of the past few years about ourselves and about this new chapter in life, to really refine it here and to make sure that we really understand what the assignment is, what our needs are, what our values are, what this new and better chapter in life is, what really is meant for us and what really is not, and to test us and to make sure that we don't fall back into these old habits and patterns here and can move forward, right? And I like the phrase refiner's fire, because I believe I don't know too much about it. I don't know, it's just words that I get in my head. But when I think refiner's fire, I think of someone working with metal, and like building like a tool or a sculpture from metal. And don't you have to use fire sometimes in order to bend metal, in order to be what it is, in order to get it in its shape? And sometimes you need this intense environment, in order to mold us into the shape, right, of the new life that's going to be better to move forward. And this full moon, I thought, was very interesting, is in Leo, which is a fire sign, bringing the heat here, and the sun's in Aquarius. And sometimes, to me, Aquarius can have to do with robotics, right, being correlated to innovation and technology and things like that, which has to do with metal, right, sometimes. So I think that that's the thought that I got. This unexpected event is occurring to refine what we've learned, especially with the North Node in Taurus, where the square to Uranus is, and to solidify those lessons more radically. Because remember, the full moon is in a square to Uranus here, which is about radical, and it's in Taurus, understanding of your needs, your values, and your self-worth here that's going on in a square, which is what's happening to Uranus, really does indicate things that need to be done together, not things that are separate, but things that need to be done together, that don't want to be done together, but that we need to bring together. And that's the solutions, the vision of the future, the courage to carry it out with the needs, the values, the right perspective, the stability, and the security that's going on, okay? So the unexpected event is refining our approach to be more stable, more secure, more in tune with our needs and values and our sense of self-worth, saving more money, better relationships, not intertwined in all these other unhelpful things. Okay, why is that important? Maybe that's my last point that I'll say here before we move forward. Why is that important? I know I've said this in other videos, but maybe some of you might not remember or are new. Why is this important? Why do we need this different approach is for it to become so strong, this different perspective of life that's slow, stable, secure, self-reliant, sensible, practical, calmer emotion, saving money, thrifty, and all of that, and better, relationships that aren't so crazy. Why do we need that? Well, we're stepping into a new and better chapter in life, which I need to note, I think is going to come in the next few months once both Pluto and Saturn change signs here, March-ish here. And it's hard to build a new and better chapter in life on a foundation, right? And to have it work if it's on a shaky foundation. And when you're building a foundation for something new, you want to make sure it's solid. And what makes a foundation for something new solid is being smart, is being sensible, is being realistic about what is actually important and focusing on the needs first and the essentials before all this other crazy stuff, which will come later in the process, right? So that's what I'm going to say there. And I think that's it, because that's all I'm going to say now in this video in terms of the astrological aspects here. I'm just going to repeat all of that one last time here before we move on. So let me do that. What I think is going on here at this full moon in Leo is that we are starting to get, I think, more clarity about a new and better chapter in life that we want to create next, that we've really been trying to get to since 2020 here, and how to solve, fix, and overcome anything in the way of that that's not in alignment with our truth, with our heart, with the things that are important to us here, that's going on with our needs and values, all of that, which is positive, and we're getting more of the courage and bravery in order to bring it together. But even though all of that is happening, some sudden and unexpected event comes up that either we do or someone else initiates with us that could challenge this idea and this solution that we think that we're getting here about our lives and about what we're doing next, and could shake our confidence and stability and cause us to overthink, feel a lot of inner tension, or get into disagreements or arguments here because things still feel stuck and aren't turning around in the way that we might like, and we're a little impatient, which can obviously be hard. And because that's going on, what I think needs to happen here at this full moon in Leo, and actually has a potential to happen more naturally, is that we need to, I think, choose to be more patient throughout this process, and kind and compassionate with ourselves and other people and whatever's coming up, and to be more open-minded, to seek to understand what's happening instead of judge it immediately here, and to be more flexible with the process. And not only that, but tap into our heart space about what's true in our heart and authentic to us, and connect to that without maybe some of the walls that we used to have, and to also tap into our courage and our strength and the ultimate goal of what we want to create. Because I think if we can do that, it is then going to help us actually overcome this unexpected event and a lot of things from the past 2 years that have been stopping us up, and get even better solutions than we first came up with to our situation about how to fix things here that I think are actually going to work this time, and calm down arguments, and finally adjust our lives to be in a much different and better place, and on some better trajectory that we've been trying to get to since 2020. That's actually going to work, and beautiful ways to bring a lot of stuff together here. Okay. And the reason why this unexpected event, I think, had to occur was to really solidify all the lessons that we've been learning over the course of the past few months about ourselves, about our needs and values, about this new and better chapter in life, and what we do and don't want to take with it, so that we can make sure that we're doing that correctly here. And to make sure that, we're fully understanding what that is, and are more strong in those things as we move forward. Okay. Kind of solidify the lesson and the understanding, which I think is now happening. Okay. And I think that's it. I think that's what I have to say. I don't really think I have anything else to add. I maybe the only other thing I would add on that is that I do think these unexpected events and arguments and disagreements are going to calm down naturally on their own, for the most part, out of the blue. They're going to calm down out of the blue on their own, and like more solutions are going to arise naturally out of the blue on their own. And I don't think you're going to need to consciously choose to do all this stuff that I gave you as advice. But if this stuff isn't calming down on its own, then it doesn't hurt to use that advice, because I think that advice of the calm, compassionate vision, all of that is going to get you where you need to go much more effectively and efficiently here, and easily without the drama, because there is some potential for that here. Okay, but otherwise, I think that's it. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, I guess I just got your cards. But before I look at your cards, I'm going to take a look at the inside degrees really quickly here, to bring those up on the screen. The inside degrees were not written by me. They were written by someone else named Elias Lonsdale, who channeled the meanings for each of the degrees of the zodiac, from spirit. But I just like to look at these because I think that they're very accurate and very insightful here in order to shed more light on the interpretation. So I'm going to do that. The full moon in Leo is at 16 degrees Leo, but I like to look at the degree before, of, and after, because I do think that they're all relevant, especially because the planets are moving. Like the moon doesn't just all of a sudden appear at 16 degrees Leo. It starts at 15, goes to 16, ends at 17. So I like to look at all of them as a story. So let's do that. I've got 15 degrees Leo up here on the screen. It says this: to be quintessentially yourself in so many different directions is to be big, impressive, and very dramatic. Your individuality is blessed with innate gifts and treasures, unlimited and embarrassment of riches. The outward temptation is to play this up and use it up. The inward path is to develop it into ripe and mature, full-on individual genius. So what does this indicate to me? This does indicate to me a few things. It indicates to me that I think we are at this full moon getting, I like the phrase gifts and treasures, an embarrassment of riches. I think we are getting, a strong insight about ourselves, right? Our individuality and how we can improve our lives and make things better out of it, and what's important to us here. That's going on. I think we are getting that. But even though we are getting, I think, and it even talks about big and impressive insights that are gifts to help us fix things that are important to our individuality. I think the challenge with this full moon is handling that in a more mature way, because there's also a part of this inside degree that says there is a temptation to play this up and use it up instead of develop it into ripe and mature genius. Especially as we read onwards, it says it takes an advanced soul to be able to move steadily between these two. So I think that that's definitely what I'm sensing. We're getting a lot of ideas and solutions here at this time about our life and what's wrong, what we want to create, and how to fix it. That's beautiful and impressive. It's just we have to figure out how to use and channel these solutions in more helpful ways here that's going on. Because, something that can also happen, I need to note, is like our excitement and hubris can sometimes get the best of us, right? The full moon is in Leo, and Leo can be very courageous and strong and bold, being fire here. And so sometimes when you have such a strong desire for something, that strong desire can burn through you, can burn a hole in these situations, because fire can be dangerous if it's not handled properly. So I think this is a huge message that I'm getting here, is like great insights coming at various points around this full moon here. And I think multiple insights, very beautiful, about our lives and how to fix it. But I think there's a lot coming, and maybe they're unique, that it's hard for us to handle, right? For us to fully handle in the way that it is that we need, in our excitement for all these ideas, maybe making us do weird stuff, or act in weird ways. And all of that we're going to need to channel a bit better. Look at this. The next line says it takes the utmost in sincerity, simplicity, and core presence to just be there while having loads of outstanding, amazing attributes to show and share and give forth freely. And that to me goes back to the advice that I gave you. I didn't use these words, sincerity, simplicity, and presence, but I do think, yeah, they accurately do describe Leo. And I think that's also I think they're relevant and related to the advice that I gave you earlier, but I think adds more nuance to it. That's also nice here. So that's what I get from this degree. We're getting a lot of beautiful insights about a lot of things in our life, but there's just so many. And we're so excited that we don't know how to handle, this stuff that's coming up, and maybe acting in weird ways or overwhelmed or frustrated. And we're dealing with other people who have their own insights that don't have anything to do with us, and they're also overwhelmed and they're also frustrated, and we're involved. That's hard, and we got to figure out how to channel this idea and these insights into more productive streams that are more workable, so that we're not getting distracted by the passion and letting that rule us, which does require a lot of mastery and maturity to do. And in order to calm the passion and direct it better, sincerity, simplicity, presence is needed to practice that in order to move forward. Then let's look at Leo 16. It says, in the warp between worlds, being a representative of one world in the midst of another, and being almost invisible, tending to disappear off screen and reappear somewhere else, transported by a special destiny, slipping by the bodyguards. As the uproar happens, the deep observer looks on at the role the self is playing, which is so incongruous to who one is truly. But the karmic instructions are to play along, and later all shall be revealed. This is a very peculiar soul condition, taking all those loose ends and finishing them off to be sprung into a different realm at last. So not only am I getting, of course, from the first degree, 15 degrees Leo here, that we're getting a lot of solutions and ideas about our life and who we are and who we want to be, they're just so big, I think, and fiery, and we're so excited about them that they're hard to contain, and they're coming out, spilling out over the edges and like all these weird ways that we need to contain in a more mature way here, and direct in a more mature way as we move forward through sincerity, simplicity, presence, compassion, vision, strength, things like that. But that can be hard to do, because when you have all this passion in this idea, right? But you have to contain it a little bit, especially too. That's interesting. Sorry, because the sun is in Aquarius, and Aquarius is the water bearer. It contains water, contains something. And I think what I'm getting from 16 degrees Leo is that this can be a weird place to live in, a weird in between space. You have so much passion, and you've got clarity, you're starting to get vision, but it's all over the place. You have to contain this excitement in order to direct it. Can be a weird place to live in, because on one hand you're excited, but on the other hand you can't show it, or you can't show it as freely and the way that you might like. That I think 16 degrees Leo is saying can create a lot of tension, where we feel one way inside, but it's another way outside in a lot of ways in our life. And why is it like that? I think it's like that with the last part here, because we need to take all these loose ends and finish them off. And so this adds another thought, right? One of the reasons I said why this unexpected event is happening at this time is to refine our ideas of ourself and our solutions and what we want to create and what our true needs and values are here, to make sure that we're really getting it and honing in on it. But this says another reason why this unexpected event may be happening, so that we can finish all these loose ends, and get rid of all this old stuff that isn't meant to move with us anymore here. So that's another thought I get from that here. So much solution, ideas, wanting to break free, that it's hard to handle, spilling out, that we're going to have to learn how to better manage and control, which through sincerity, simplicity, presence, compassion, kindness, etc. That's hard, because then it puts us kind of in between worlds, seeing the vision, wanting to act, but still not able to do so at maybe the way that we might like. And the reason why that's happening is to get us to master what we've been learning and to make sure we're finishing these old things so that we don't move forward into a different experience with a lot of loose ends still hanging. Because if you move forward into a new and different experience with a lot of loose ends still hanging, they can come back to get you later on, So I think there's a need here to tie up a lot of loose ends. Okay. Now let's look at 17 degrees Leo, the last degree. Here I'm going to look at, it says, rising superior to apparent limitations, you defiantly renounce the letter of the law to salvage the spirit of the law, puncturing pretense, breaking down power and control structures. You are militantly outrageous, anti-traditional, pulled forward by a vision, a knack, an instinct for what this earth asks and demands, on fire with the power of radical changes. You feel in yourselves the next stage in evolution. So this is hopeful to me because I see the degrees as a progression. And what 17 degrees Leo is saying to me is that if you can have this passion and contain it or master it or manage and work with it better through sincerity, simplicity, kindness, compassion, all this stuff, if you can do that, right, and exist in this weird in-between space and finish tying up all these loose ends here so that they don't get in the way, then I think that is going to help us finally, once all that's done, rise superior to apparent limitations, and fix things in our lives here and be able to make radical changes in a much better way in our life here in order to move forward, and to finally step into the new chapter of life more fully that we've been talking about, especially with this last sentence. You want to make sure everybody knows that something new is going on around here. Yeah. So that's what I get from the inside degrees, which I think was very helpful and very insightful here of like, gotta control the desire and direct and hone it and tie up these loose ends before we move forward into a new chapter in life here in order to bring things together. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look here at your card. Your cards, two of them came out when I was shuffling earlier. We've got the Ace of Cups reversed here, and we've got the Page of Swords reversed. And at the bottom of the deck, which I like to look at, wow, we've got the Tower upright, which couldn't be more fitting, because the Tower to me has, sometimes it has like a Pluto and Scorpio vibe, but a lot of times to me it has a Uranus vibe, especially the Tower in Tarot and an Aquarius vibe as bringing sudden unexpected change and sudden unexpected upheaval, which is clearly going on here at this full moon in Leo. Sudden unexpected change and sudden unexpected upheaval, which is meant to help you refine who you truly are, what's truly important to you, your needs and values, more stability, security, to usher you more into saving money or making more money and very different relationships that are more self-reliant and not so intertwined. Okay. So I definitely get, and that's helping you to tie up the last few details here. Okay. But this unexpected upheaval, right, that we're getting with the Tower does clearly look to be uncomfortable, as most unexpected upheavals are, does look to be a bit uncomfortable here, making us feel a little all over the place with the Ace of Cups here reversed. I'm seeing like the cup reversed, water spilling out, making us feel like, speaking of water being contained again, I'm seeing us feeling a little emotionally all over the place and upset about this stuff here and having trouble controlling our thoughts with the Page of Swords here, and our words. Maybe we're not being so nice and pleasant to other people with the stuff that it is that we're saying. Okay. What else do I want to add, because that was kind of sad. I do like to give advice, the real, and the thought that just came to me, and I tend to believe this, is that like the real test of a person and who they are and of their integrity, if you will, their integrity and their accountability and their authenticity, which I see as like a Saturn thing and an Aquarius thing, because Saturn does correlate to Aquarius, one of the planets there, and as a Capricorn thing. Comes during hard times. You really see what people are made of during hard times, or during unexpected events that they weren't planning on. I think that unexpected events or difficult events have a way of showing people's true characters, and whether they can handle the stress or whether they're going to break under it. And I think that there's something like that going on at this full moon in Leo. I think that this unexpected event that's occurring is meant, right? And that's how I've interpreted it, is meant to refine all of us into being a better version of ourselves, so that with different mindsets, habits, actions, perspectives, so that we can build a new, different, and better chapter of our life, the right way that's going to work for ourselves and our situations. I think that's what this unexpected thing is meant to do. But even though that's what it's meant to do, I think that some people might crumble under the pressure. Some people might crumble under the pressure here. I that's not what I prefer. This is supposed to be empowering. This is supposed to be empowering. Leo is empowering. It's about ourselves. It's about courage. It's supposed to be empowering. All the planets are direct. Mercury's coming out of post-retrograde shadow. This is supposed to be an empowering time. I think most of us are going to rise, or need to rise, or supposed to rise to the call. But I think there are quite a few people who might not, who might get in this unexpected event and see that as an opportunity to feel bad for themselves, or like a victim again. Nothing's going to work. I've been trying everything and everything's not coming together, and it's just one thing after the other here that's going on. I think there is a potential for some people to use this unexpected thing as an opportunity to stop and to stay stuck. And you need to be aware of those people, because you might not want to be intertwined with them, because they can hold you back. And you need to be aware if that person is you, because this event is not meant to make you feel discouraged. It's really meant to motivate you and invigorate you to do more of what is in your best interest here, and to sacrifice less, right? Uranus is radical, where in Taurus, which squares it, to more radically step into your power and your confidence and your self-worth, and tolerate less of the things that take you away from that, and to see it as such. Okay. And this is going to test a lot of people's characters here to see where you are. What's that phrase? It also reminds me of another phrase that I've heard. It's like, weak men are made in happy times, and strong men are made in hard times. And I believe that there have been hard times. I mean, there's been hard times in the astrology since 2020. Saturn, Pluto is not a good thing. And that's obviously around the same time that COVID became a thing, which was hard for a lot of people, causing big changes in their lives. So which is the point of COVID, make people change, because the way they've been living life isn't working for the planet, for us, for humanity. But change is hard. And so I do think the times have been hard astrologically in the world, maybe more so than other points in time and in history, even though not the only time in history things have been hard. There have been other hard times. And I think that some people are going to see that as an opportunity to grow, which is what it truly is. And some people are going to use it as an opportunity to stay stuck and fall backwards, because it just feels like too much. And we need to stop falling backwards, because there's a lot of growth that can come from this, and a lot of beautiful things that can come from it that are getting closer and closer every day that goes by, and to rise to the challenge, for thinking about rising, right? This is the Tower, was one of the cards that I got, and towers are, right, big structures that are tall. It's time to rise to the challenge, and to take responsibility and accountability for who you are, for what you want, for what's important to you here, and to not be afraid to do it no matter what the circumstance, is here that's going on, and to manage things more masterfully. So I think that's what I've got here for you. I hope that was helpful. I hope that made sense here. I wish you all the best with this energy, which definitely feels a bit volatile here. But that's what I have and I'll talk to you on the next video. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you later.